Society tells you that people who talk to themselves are losing their minds. They call it a sign of isolation or mental decline. But behavioral science reveals the exact opposite. Talking to yourself out loud is the single most powerful, unpublicized method to reprogram your neural architecture. It is a biological cheat code. The moment you unlock this internal loop, you gain a cognitive advantage so severe, it looks like a superpower to the untrained eye. This isn't simple positive thinking or daily affirmations. This is the tactical hijacking of human biology. From elite special forces operatives to multi-billionaire chess grandmasters, the world's top 1% actively use their internal voice as a weapon to crush pressure. In this video, we are stripping away the social stigma to decode the dark neurochemical secrets of the internal monologue they desperately want to keep hidden. In exactly 3 minutes, I am going to reveal a classified linguistic hack known as the third-person command. It is a highly specific, counterintuitive vocal technique used by Olympic athletes to instantly switch off physical exhaustion and panic within a matter of milliseconds. You need to know this to master your own mind. But first, you must understand the foundation of all internal control, the cognitive overlap vulnerability. Your brain has a severe biological limitation that psychologists call a restricted working memory buffer. At any given moment, your conscious mind can only hold a few pieces of information before it experiences data corruption. When you face stress or complex choices, your thoughts spin in an infinite, chaotic loop, choking your ability to think logically. This is the exact moment your brain enters a state of high cognitive friction. But why does speaking out loud instantly solve this? Because of a neurological phenomenon called the phonological loop. Your mind treats an internal thought and a spoken word completely differently. Master high-performers know this structural glitch. They deliberately push their thoughts out of their mouths, forcing the brain to process the information through the auditory cortex, instantly clearing the mental traffic jam so they can act with absolute precision. Once you force your thoughts into the physical world, your brain undergoes an immediate neurochemical shift. It alters the way your survival network perceives fear, stopping panic before it can paralyze your muscles. We will break down how to trigger this emotional shutdown in less than 60 seconds. But first, let's expose the deep neurological mechanic behind why your voice possesses this authority, the externalization protocol. To master your internal voice, you must understand how your brain establishes reality. When a thought stays inside your head, your brain treats it as part of your identity. If your thought says, "I am failing," your entire nervous system accepts that failure as a hard fact. But the moment you speak that thought out loud, it travels through the air and hits your ears as external data. Your brain is forced to analyze the thought objectively, as if it was spoken by someone else, completely shattering the emotional grip it had on your mind. This brings us to the core advantage, the self-distancing mechanism. When you talk to yourself, you switch from being the victim of the emotion to being the objective observer of the emotion. Behavioral analysts have proven that this simple shift immediately downregulates the activity in your amygdala, the brain's fear center. You are no longer drowning in the storm. You are the weather reporter observing the storm from a safe distance. Why is this unhackable? Because it relies on the autonomous feedback loop. Your brain is biologically hardwired to prioritize external sensory input over internal noise. The master of self-talk uses this wiring to forcefully override their own negative programming, replacing chaotic, anxious thoughts with structured, audible commands that the brain is forced to obey. The countdown has hit 0. Now that you understand the neurological engine behind self-talk, it is time to unlock the devastating high-performance weapon used by elite athletes. If you keep using the word "I" when you talk to yourself, you are walking straight into a cognitive trap. It is time to decode the dark linguistic execution sequence used to crush extreme pressure, the third-person command. The third-person command relies on the psychological concept of exocentric linguistic framing. When elite performers are under extreme distress, they never say, "I need to focus." Instead, they address themselves by their own name or use the pronoun he or you. They look at themselves in the mirror and say, "John, breathe, look at the ball, execute the movement now." This simple linguistic shift throws your ego out of the equation, triggering immediate ego recentering. Your brain stops processing the event as a personal threat to your survival and starts treating it as a strategic problem to be solved by a third party. The intense pressure that chess grandmasters or tactical operators face is instantly converted into raw focus, completely neutralizing the fear of failure. The true power of this command is neurochemical decoupling. By speaking to yourself as an external entity, you prevent the massive surge of cortisol from hijacking your prefrontal cortex. Your heart rate stabilizes, your peripheral vision expands, and your motor skills remain fluid. You have effectively decoupled the physical symptoms of stress from your cognitive performance, allowing you to execute tasks with absolute coldness while everyone around you is panicking. Now that you see how to crush emotional pressure, you need to understand the second advantage of self-talk, the memory retrieval exploit. There is a secret mechanism built into your temporal lobes that accelerates your brain's search engine. By using a specific type of vocal priming, you can recall complex data, passwords, and deep memories up to 40% faster. We will reveal this memory shield next. The strategy is known in cognitive science as auditory priming. When you look for an object or try to recall a complex piece of information silently, your brain runs a slow, visual scan across your neural networks. But when you speak the name of the target out loud, saying the word keys or document, you activate the auditory search vector. When your visual cortex receives a direct auditory command from your own voice, it instantly filters out all irrelevant visual noise. It acts as a massive data vacuum, causing your brain to hyperfocus on the exact target. Your visual processing speed doubles because you have given your subconscious an explicit, acoustic anchor to hunt for. By guiding your visual search with your voice, you stabilize your immediate reality. But what if the challenge isn't finding a physical object? What if you are trying to break a deeply ingrained bad habit or resist a sudden temptation? There is a highly covert self-talk loop called the Behavioral Intercept that can completely freeze your impulsive urges before they turn into action. The Behavioral Intercept is the art of using vocal commands to disrupt the automated routines of your basal ganglia, the habit center of your brain. When a sudden urge strikes, your conscious mind is usually too weak to fight it silently. But if you speak the explicit command out loud, commanding yourself, "Stop, step back right now," you create an immediate structural barrier in your choice architecture. Look at how your brain processes this vocal wall. Spoken commands trigger an immediate response in your motor cortex, forcing your physical body to pause for a fraction of a second. That microsecond pause is all your prefrontal cortex needs to break the automated loop of temptation, giving you back your cognitive sovereignty before you make a choice you will regret. To fully integrate this power, you must practice metacognitive mapping. You do this by narrating your high-stakes actions out loud as you perform them. Say, "I am opening the file. I am verifying the data. I am closing the loop." This structural narration keeps your conscious mind entirely locked into the present task, completely eliminating the possibility of making careless, distracted errors. True cognitive dominance requires absolute ownership of your internal environment. By synthesizing the layers of vocal defense, spotting your behavioral baseline, executing the third-person command, and utilizing the behavioral intercept, you turn your voice into an unhackable cognitive shield. You cease to be a passive victim of your thoughts. You become the absolute architect of your mind. Using your own voice to program your mind is how you secure your internal freedom. But there is a terrifying counter-truth that you must realize. If you leave your internal environment quiet, if you do not actively command your own subconscious, your brain remains in a highly passive, defenseless state. A blank slate waiting to be written on. And right now, there are people who specialize in filling that silence for you. This vulnerability is exploited through covert psychological extraction. When you do not actively dictate your own thoughts out loud, your brain naturally seeks external programming to tell it what to value, what to fear, and what to believe. Master manipulators, dark psychologists, and toxic individuals know this exact biological weakness. They watch for your silence, step into your blind spots, and quietly plant their voice inside your head, making you believe their commands are your own choices. You are likely carrying someone else's toxic programming inside your head right now without your knowledge. In fact, your decisions, your bank account, and your relationships are currently being manipulated by a highly structured set of hidden psychological laws that they desperately want to keep hidden. To strip away the curtain, decode the mechanics of how they are secretly controlling your choices, and finally reclaim your absolute mental sovereignty. Click on this complete breakdown right here. Let's decode the dark truth together. See you there.